Hello friends, welcome back to another Magic Monday. Today we are looking at a deck called Otter Chaos with Ral Crackling Wit. 4 mana for a legendary Ral Planeswalker. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a loyalty counter on it. +1 to create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. -3 to draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. Or -10 to draw 3 cards and get an emblem with instant and sorcery storms you cast have storm. Under the hood, we have 11 creatures, 50 non-creatures, 43 red, 20 blue. Of those 11 creatures, no real dominant type. 22 instants, 12 sorceries, 5 artifacts, 5 enchantments, 6 planeswalkers, and only 38 lands. So the general idea here is it's not Otter Tribal. I am kind of interested in that, but I'll talk more about that later, or maybe in a different episode. But what this is just a instant and sorcery deck with the idea of ideally making copies, whether it's storm copies or other kinds of copies. So as you can see from the side here, we've got a whole bunch of 1 mana cost things, wash away, some removal here with Hexgold Slash, melt through, blah, 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 blah. Barrel Chief of Compliance lets us reduce the instant and sorcery spell cost by 1. And if we do a counter, we get to draw and then discard a card. Contentious Plan to draw a card and proliferate, Tails End, Abrade. Nothing really noteworthy here. Electrostatic Field, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is pretty cool. Similar with Thermo Alchemist, except we get to untap it. Smoldering Egg lets us potentially get out this Ashmouth Dragon if we cast enough things to get the Ember counters on the Smoldering Egg up to snuff. Mana Rock here, Midnight Clock, Rock Slide Sorcerer, deals damage to any target whenever you cast an instant sorcery or wizard spell, which is neat. Gutter Snipe is also that indirect damage. So it's just a lot of removal, a lot of counters, and a lot of indirect damage from creatures like Gutter Snipe and Rock Slide Sorcerer. Beacon Bolt is here because that can be really stupid. Prismari Command for some modular action. More Mana Rocks here. Demi-Lich, I went back and forth on whether or not to include this, but I kept it in. Archmage Emeritus, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. Great card in this deck, but it's not legendary. It's a little hard to get because it's one of the 99. Still, if you can get it out, it's fantastic. Behold the Multiverse for some draw power. God Eternal Kefnet to let us make some copies of stuff. And it's a pretty powerful card. 4 mana for a 4/5 flyer is really cool. Tez's Gambit lets us draw and proliferate. Here's our first planeswalker, Jaya, Fiery Negotiator, who lets us also make a monk creature with prowess. So we could have monks and otters, both with prowess, which is cool. Or if you get to the ultimate, -8, get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery, copy it twice, and you may choose new targets for the copies. Which each of those copies will also trigger Ral and add loyalty counters to him. We have this Ral. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, it deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker, +2 to scry 1, -2 to make a copy. Which, if you can get both these Rals out, I mean, you're in really good shape. Next Planewalker is Jace, Unraveler of Secrets, lets us scry and draw, or return target creature to its owner's hand, or get an emblem with whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, counter it, which is stupid. Chandra Heart of Fire lets us +1 to deal 2 damage to any target. That is her main purpose, is actually just to remove stuff with that +1. But she could do the other things too. Double Vision, now we're into the meat of this here. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery, copy it. Mind's Desire has Storm. Shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library. You may play that without paying its mana cost. The Storm part is really important. Speaking of Storm, this one is of Saruman, has a ward 3, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary. So it's not an instant or sorcery, it's a copy. So we could copy Ral Storm Conduit and have 2 of them out, and 1 of them won't be legendary. Very nice. Arcane Bombardment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery at random from your graveyard, then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. Gets real silly with this Crackling Wit planeswalker that we've got as our commander. Capricious Hellraiser. 6 mana for a 4/4 dragon that costs 3 less to cast if you have 9 or more cards in your graveyard. It obviously has flying. And when it enters, exile 3 cards at random from your graveyard. Choose a non-creature, non-land, and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Can be very helpful. Chandra Flame Catalyst. +1 to deal 3 damage to each opponent. -2 to cast target red instant or sorcery from your graveyard and then exile it. Or -8 to discard your hand, draw 7 cards, and you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost until end of turn. That's pretty powerful too, but mostly it's the 3 direct damage that I like. Chandra Hope's Beacon. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. May choose new targets once per turn. +2 to add 2 mana in any combination of color, which is her main purpose here, but we can do other stuff with her as well. And Fire Emancipation, which deals triple damage whenever a source would deal damage to a permanent or player. So it's really nice to get out like Gutter Snipe and then cast Hexgold Slash, and the Hexgold Slash will do 6 damage to a creature for 1 red mana, and Gutter Snipe will do 6 damage to the opponent. Pretty powerful. Thousand Year Storm. Give all instant and sorcery spells Storm, basically. Jin Gataxius, Progress Tyrant, lets us copy the first instant... it's once per turn. Okay. Copy the first artifact, instant, or sorcery spell that we cast, and counter our opponent's first artifact, instant, or sorcery spell each turn. So, again, the theme here is to make copies, to try to trigger a bunch of copies of stuff and make a mess of the board. Magic Mirror lets us draw a bunch of cards and cost less for each instant and sorcery card in our graveyard. Banefire for some direct damage, classic Fireball style. I just noticed the art here reminds me of Godric from Elden Ring. Crackle with Power lets us deal 5 times X damage to up to X targets, which is a ridiculous card. Electro Dominance lets us cast this and then a spell with mana value X or less without paying its mana value cost when we do it, which is cool. And finally, Expansion Explosion. We can copy an instant or sorcery with mana value 4 or less, or deal X damage to any target and draw X cards. And we just got some lands, islands, Thriving Isle. I love this art. There's no real benefit to having this in here because you're always going to choose red, and it's basically just a gate at that point. But the art is just so pretty. I want it in all of my decks. This one here, Riverglide Pathway, so we have some flexibility, and then a couple of multicolored lands. We put in a Blast Zone just in case. It's not ideal with our Otter army that we're hopefully making, because it will destroy stuff. Well, actually, no, it won't. I don't know what I'm talking about, because it's destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of charge counters. I thought it was equal or less. So yeah, actually, we can protect our Otters, which is cool. And Command Tower and a Maestro's Theater. So that's it. That's the deck, guys. It's really fun to play. It's probably really annoying to play against, but I don't know. I wanted to make a deck with this Otter guy. Now, the one thing I didn't mention is I think next week's episode is going to be a little different, and that's because Bloomburrow came out. I haven't looked at spoilers. I opened 2 packs of it, and then I had an idea. So next week's episode, I haven't decided yet, but I think it's going to be a little bit different format than what I've done for the other 60, however many episodes are in this series. But that's a problem for next week. As always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. If you enjoy this episode, consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to my channel. I've got a big playlist of Brawl decks that you could check out. And thanks for watching. Let's get to some games.